presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System Studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Well, I think my last words would be, I would encourage everyone to be optimistic and excited about the future.
Good.
And generally, I think for quality of life, it is actually better to err on the side of being an optimist and wrong rather than a pessimist and right.
On that note.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show. I think I have Shondell Summers here with me. I think I'd have on my bucket list. I would love to go to Davos one year and just be a fly on the wall and watch all that stuff. I think it would be very cool.
That would be very cool, and not to mention being in Switzerland would be really cool.
At this time of year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was a big week in Davos. That was Elon Musk, because we focused a lot on when the world leaders were there. And, of course, the German chancellor gave – is he called a chancellor? I think he is. The German chancellor gave this speech yesterday, which caused a lot of brouhaha, because he basically said we as the EU have failed because we had this great economic power and we spent so much time on regulation and perfection that we got a lot of things wrong, and we haven't been able to grow as much as we had hoped to. And Germany, of course, is the biggest contributor to the EU. So, they have a lot of clout when they say things.
Yes, Germany, and probably the biggest contributor to NATO as well.
Yeah.
In terms
next to the United States.
Yeah, in terms of military armament and funds for NATO. I was surprised. I actually saw something on News Nation the other night on Leland Vittert, and he was comparing the differences in ammunitions for each country in NATO with the United States, and it's just shocking.
Yeah,
how much of that we provide. So I thought the most interesting thing that happened this week was the whole Greenland negotiations and Trump's fake claim that he was going to raise tariffs on all these European countries, which plummeted after his supposed framework of a deal on Greenland. The framework of a deal apparently is that they would create sovereign territory on the U.S. bases in Greenland, and also that any non-NATO countries would be restricted from mining any natural resources of Greenland, which seemed pretty normal, kind of, not normal, but conservative wants for the United States.
And what's very interesting about it, and you probably know this, is that this framework has really kind of been in place since 1951. There's a treaty that we have with Denmark that basically provides all of this. And so there was a lot of, and it's still in force. So basically we got what we could have gotten from the beginning, but there was a lot of drama leading up to it. And I thought that was very interesting.
Well, we do have the right to have U.S. bases and military there, but they're not considered sovereign states.
Right.
So in other words, the United States would own that territory.
And it's still unclear whether it's going to be sovereign to us. I mean, that hasn't been decided yet. I saw the president did a long press conference on the way back from Davos on Air Force One, and one of the news agencies that I watch, the international news agencies that I watch, carried the whole thing. Like a lot of people dip in and out of it, American sources, but I watched GB News, and they carried the whole thing because it crossed their wires like at midnight. It's 6 o'clock our time, but it was midnight their time. So I guess they just carried the whole thing live because at midnight, who's actually watching in their area? So it was really nice to be able to kind of see him banter with the questions and answer, but he talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea that we're just going to go in and, take over all these countries because it's in our national interest sounds very Russia-like. And so I think that is a very unpopular idea. I understand the concept is that with global warming, that's now opened up new trade routes, and that China and Russia are getting closer and closer to us in terms of being able to launch missile attacks because the oceans have
it's
grown due to global warming.
It's the same idea of when we added Alaska on the western coast. I mean, I think I always make this analogy that most of us look at maps that are flat like it might be on a page or it might be on a screen or something like that. But if you really conceptualize it the way we used to have globes, everybody had
Yes,
globes.
I have lots of globes myself.
It's a lot closer than you think between, Alaska and Russia and Greenland and this. It's a lot closer than you think. And if you're just looking at it on a flat map, you think one's over here and one's over here. It's not. It's like this. And so I think it's interesting to look at that. And look, I think to our national security, you might not like the way it was gone around and done, or one may not like. But the national security interest, I think, is pretty clear that especially these countries that are really close to Russia, like Iceland and Finland and Norway, they really get concerned about these kind of encroachments by Russia, especially, over the Arctic Circle, because that's kind of their neighborhood.
Sure.
Yeah. So they get concerned about it. So we'll see about how all that goes. We're going to talk about more of that. I want to get back to something. We got a question yesterday because, and this is a little more local, but Lee Hawkins was on and we were having some trouble with the connection. And we got a question about the property tax bill that is going to be going on under the legislature. And he answered back the question. He said, property tax is an issue being discussed in the House. There are multiple entities in the state of Georgia who are paying property tax on land they do not own, but they lease from the state. So there's a House Bill 933 that does not address Lake Lanier Island's development, but they are going to be looking at things. And I followed up with the speaker today, and they will be introducing their property tax bill, which they want to exempt property tax on your main domicile until you sell it, and then the next person will sell it. So we'll have property tax. So if you own something, you won't, and it's your homestead, you won't have to pay property tax on it. I don't know how
What?
It's an interesting concept.
I don't have to pay property tax on my house, but then when I sell it, the people who I sell it to have to pay property tax?
Well, then the price adjusts, and then you get more. So there's two concepts out there. There's one that your property taxes, and I mixed them up, I'm sorry. One, that your property taxes do not go up while you're living in the house, and then when you sell it, it goes up.
Okay.
And another one where you exempt it altogether. The challenge with that is that property taxes go primarily, there's a little portion that goes to the state, but it primarily goes to local entities. So if all they can do is get rid of the state portion, that's not that much. What the big part of your property taxes is schools and services in your local county. So I don't know how they're going to get around that.
Okay. So you would just be frozen at the amount you're at right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we'll see what happens. Now, granted, if you own multiple properties.
But it's not going to adjust your property tax bill that much because only the portion that goes to the state would be frozen.
Right. Unless they can come up with some agreement, with local entities. But I don't see how they can do it because how are they going to fund what they do?
Right.
So I just think this is a lot of gobbledygook.
Yeah, sounds
now,
like it.
I'm willing to have the speaker on because this is his initiative to explain it. But right now I don't understand how it works because most property tax money goes to local entities.
Right.
Right. Your roads, like what we see right out here.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so they can still adjust.
Yeah, they can adjust anytime they want, and they do. I mean,
they do.
Nobody wants to hear that we pay less property taxes than Fulton County per mill, or with any other county you want to pick, because you're paying it, right? You're not paying taxes somewhere else. You're paying it here. You don't want it to ever go up here, but sometimes it has to go up.
Yeah, I pay property taxes in a variety of communities, and I find my general impression is that Hall County is fairly reasonable to deal with because I appeal everything.
Yes.
Every time I have a reassessment, I file an appeal and we negotiate, and they're fairly reasonable. Athens, they're not so much, and Fulton County, very reasonable.
Really?
Yes. I don't think they want to put in the effort to take it all the way to a trial or, a hearing. And then,
right.
of course, if you go to a hearing, you're pretty much going to
I bet
the decision of the
I bet
board.
they don't want to lose residential, too. They don't want you to decide to leave, I mean, you would sell it to someone else, but still.
I mean, it's a big mass of property, right? And so they probably don't have the personnel to do all of the work involved in appeals. And then, of course, if you lose at the hearing level, you can always appeal to the Superior Court.
So on another kind of local level that you're involved in to some degree because you're a lawyer, what are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on the new courthouse, on where it should be, what they should do with it? Because there's some discussion about moving it to South Hall. And then there's all kinds of transportation issues that go along with that. And then there's some other discussion about creating a bridge between the one we've got now and these buildings that are across the street, and then creating a new thing. I mean, are lawyers talking about it? Because I hear from the developers that the lawyers want this or the lawyers want that.
Right. I'm sure there are lawyers who are very much in tune to that issue. I don't have to be one of them. I didn't even know they were talking about it. But I would say this.
You voted on the SPLOST for it in November.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So the idea being that we just built that courthouse.
25 years ago.
Has it been 25 years?
It's been 25 years.
That this.
Well, it was voted on in 2000. It might have been finished in 2005, but
it seems like it was just yesterday.
I know it does, doesn't it?
And so I don't understand why they need a new courthouse. I guess we're about to get a 6th Superior Court judge or something, and but they do a lot of rotation of the courtrooms already. Every morning when you go in there, if you have a hearing, they say, "Oh, sorry, you've been switched to room such and such." So I guess there's a lot of logistics involved. I don't know that I think we need to have another courthouse, but I certainly don't want to have part of the courthouse up here and then part in South Hall. That sounds like a nightmare.
Well, I mean, and what made me think of it was you talking about Fulton County, because one of the reasons why they always have kept everything kind of in the Atlanta part of Fulton County as far as courthouses and all that stuff is because you don't want to have one in Alpharetta where people got to drive up from South Hall if they're in a jury pool. I mean, South Fulton if they're in a jury pool. If I'm in North Hall, I don't want to drive down to South Hall to be in a jury pool. To me, that's an hour drive now. You know, to go from North Hall, where I live, sometimes during certain times of the day, it's about 40 minutes normally, but it could be an hour.
Absolutely. So and I know they have annexes in Fulton County. I don't practice there, so I'm not that intimately familiar with it. But I would say that I think they have just non-jury matters at those annexes, and you're correct. You know, if you're going to have a jury pool, it's got to be from the entire county. So Gainesville seems to be the central location for everyone, and I think it's worked well for 150
and honestly,
years. So
it would
let's
hurt.
keep it
has a
here.
huge impact because it would hurt a lot of the businesses around here if they moved it, because a lot of people get out. I mean, and then if you put it somewhere in South Hall, for example, you get out for lunch. Where's people going to go? They're going to have to get in their car and go somewhere. If you're on jury duty here, I don't know how that. It's been a long time because I always get X'd out. I mean, if I ever get called, I go in and either the district attorney taps me on the shoulder and says, "You can go," before I'm even asked a question. Or I think one time when you were, or Dan was the lawyer, maybe Dan was the lawyer.
It was me.
It was you. I got far enough to where I think I got asked, "Do you think vehicular homicide, if you've been drinking, is first degree or something like that?" And I said, "Yeah." And then that got me out. But I believe that.
Right.
So
I don't think that was my case. That must have
No.
I never remember having you on a panel before.
Yeah.
But it was just, you just said.
Yeah, I think
you
it was
might
Dan.
have talked about
I think
the
it was
case
Dan.
or something.
Anyway, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll take some phone calls going down memory lane.
In North Georgia,
It's the topics that matter to me.
we're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
What if I need to go into a nursing home? Will I lose my home? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I'm here to give you some good news. The short answer is no. You will not lose your home if you need to transition to a nursing home. But there's steps that you need to take. I've made it my mission in life to help folks in your situation, but you need to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for the rest of your life.
New year, double the savings. It's the double rebates event at Kraus Family Hyundai of Gainesville. Ring in the new year with double rebates. You get twice the factory rebate on all new Hyundai Santa Fe and Palisade models. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and Hyundai Assurance. That's more money back and more reason to buy before January ends. Rush to Kraus Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville, or visit KrausFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and Plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, 4 people are dead and a suspect in custody from a fatal shooting scene at a Lawrenceville home early this morning. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I think it's very, very ironic that, Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry, and I'm sure the California people won't forget that.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Scott Bessent. And I've got a couple of folks from the Kemp administration. One is working for Scott Bessent, and the other one is working for Dr. Oz. So I've put in requests, and I'm going to try to get those folks on because I just love Scott Bessent. I mean,
I think he needs to play
irony.
it straight. He should not try to do the insult thing.
Yeah,
he doesn't do it well. He just sounds like he's trying too hard in that statement to me.
I think
trying to compare him to Ken or whatever.
Yeah, Sparkle Beach Ken. Yeah. I kind of thought that was hysterical, but I think he's doing a great job at Treasury, and updating systems is the main thing. Because they were working on some kind of COBOL computer system from the 80s that wasn't even supported anymore. So hopefully, I think the best thing that's going to come out of what Elon Musk did with Doge, because it was only about $45 billion in cuts, but the best thing is the updating of systems, because that should have been done a long time ago. The U.S. government should have the best systems.
Yeah, I think this week there was some ruling by the Supreme Court that Elon Musk's organization had violated the civil rights of individuals whose Social Security numbers he passed along to.
Really? I did not see that. I missed that.
That was just kind of a blip, which I think is interesting that, he can be all optimistic and everything, but yet he went in with unfettered discretion to go ahead and chop people's jobs without any kind of elected position, without any kind of authority, and only because he's the billionaire buddy of the president. Here's Scott Bessent complaining about Gavin Newsom going to Davos with a Soros. I'm not sure which one.
Alex.
I'm not sure what the family structure is in that family. But so there's so much hypocrisy going on today that you can always find a counterpoint for everything that the prevailing voices are complaining about.
But honestly,
in politics.
but I think that he was given the authority through being a special employee of the federal government. It wasn't that he was just put in there and there was no structure around it. There was, and they have that special category. It wasn't just created for him. It has been used for about 40 years to get certain people from business to come in and lend their expertise. It's not the first time they've done this. Many presidents have done it. So it's just like everything else, Shondell. Everything's so much more visible today than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. This kind of stuff was going on, and that's the whole point of shining the light on it. It's been going on for a long time. We just didn't know about it because every little movement of our lives was not recorded the way it is now and had a light shined on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I don't think anybody could stand up to that kind of scrutiny and look good.
I'm sure there's some people who could do that.
Maybe the Pope. I think the Pope would.
Maybe. I don't know. He doesn't really do anything other than just kind of,
pontificate, which is what he does. He's the pontiff. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Chad in Oakwood. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
Good morning. I got two things to say. You can do a better job getting a better host.
Oh, come on, Chad.
That lady something else. Number two, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom would be the last thing we need as president.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to run, but I don't think he can win. I don't think he can win.
And number three, Greenland. If we don't get it, China's going to get it or Russia's going to get it one. And we're going to be in major danger.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks for your call today. I mean, I just think, we've got a lot of issues there. 2028, there's a guy, Mark Halperin. I don't know if you've ever listened to him. He has this network called Two Way. He's been a longtime journalist, and he does the best job, I think, of bringing multiple voices on, one of the best jobs. And he's doing this 8 for 28 Democratic candidates, because we're pretty sure on the Republican side it'll be J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, unless something crazy happens in the next 2 years. But on the Democrat side, there's a lot of people vying. So he puts a list together once a month, 8 for 28, and he handicaps the 8 people that he thinks are going to end up on the Democrat side and then brings people in to talk about it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of very qualified people. I think Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, right up there at the top. I love Gavin Newsom. I think he's great.
Well, they're 1 and 2 on his list for this month.
I think I could support either one of those candidates. Anybody but Trump. That's my philosophy.
It won't be Trump. It won't be Trump. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
While technology has certainly changed the way people do business, it hasn't changed the way we treat our customers. It's Mike Cormier, and at Hardy Chevrolet, we are as committed to excellent customer service as the Hardys were when they started the business here in Gainesville over 4 decades ago. When it's time for a new or used vehicle, remember what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
The kick is up. It is good, and the Broncos win.
The excitement continues Sunday as the Broncos host the Patriots in the AFC Championship, followed by the Seahawks hosting the Rams in the NFC.
The LA Rams have won in overtime.
Conference Championship Sunday starts at 2 on North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. The main ingredient in place for a massive weekend winter storm across 40 states. Frigid temperatures, -32 wind chill in Chicago, mixing in with moisture sweeping east from Oklahoma and Dallas. And that's why National Weather Service Director Ken Graham calls it dangerous.
The big thing is listen to local officials. If schools are closed, stay home, stay put, because it's not just the snow. In some places, it's the snow and it'll be sleet and ice. We're going to have large areas of sleet making travel absolutely hazardous.
Anti-ICE protesters calling for a day of action in Minnesota despite Vice President J.D. Vance offering.
Working with state and local officials, we can make the worst moments of chaos much less common, and all they've got to do is meet us halfway.
President Trump withdraws his Board of Peace invitation to Canada. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. As much of northeast Georgia is under a winter storm watch, with the immediate area now under ice storm warning, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp has issued a state of emergency. Kemp says that he's mobilizing resources from GEMA, Georgia National Guard, and the Georgia DNR.
On Sunday, just do us a favor, do the State Patrol, DOT, all the other folks, utility crews, if they're out working, if you can just stay off the roads, that would be a big favor to us and help keep everybody safe.
National Weather Service has named the system Winter Storm Fern. A man has been arrested accused of stealing electronic tablets from a Gainesville store. 48-year-old James Vernon Miller was arrested Wednesday when Gainesville police officers reportedly found him in possession of Samsung tablets that had been stolen from a business on Atlas Circle. B.J. Williams with the sheriff's office says that they have been investigating the stolen tablets for weeks.
Several tablets had been stolen from company fleet vehicles that had been parked at the business between December 20th of last year and January 5th of this year.
Miller is now facing several theft charges. And Girl Scout cookie season is here, and this year they've added a new cookie that's made of chocolate, marshmallow, and toasted almond cream called Explore Mores. Cookies are available at local booths and at their website through mid-March. You'll find more news online at Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN Friday forecast.
Good Friday morning, North Georgia. Overcast skies and a small chance of a rain shower. Low 50s for highs today. Quite a bit of cloud cover tonight. Upper 30s by early Saturday. And Saturday, winter storm watch is kicking in. All eyes on Fern. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Alto, 43 degrees. In Homer, 46. And in Gainesville, 44. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Committee provide you with the Cassidy Hutchinson testimony as part of the trove of documents that you received?
As I sit here now, I don't recall, but it would.
Well, you're familiar with her testimony, aren't you?
I am.
And in fact, wouldn't you agree with me that Ms. Hutchinson's testimony, especially the most explosive allegations made, was comprised of hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay? Come on, you're an attorney. Mr. Smith, you can answer the question. Of course it was hearsay. And hearsay isn't admissible in a court of law, is it? Why? Because it is inherently unreliable, and the victim or the target of a prosecution is not able to cross-examine. Isn't that correct? In fact, Mr. Smith, if you had attempted to walk into court with Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, you would have been thrown out on your ear. No judge, no legitimate judge would have ever allowed the testimony of Cassidy Hutchins to be admitted in a court of law, would they?
I disagree.
So I picked this audio especially for Shondell
Thank
because
you.
it reminded me of you in the court of law. So going after all that.
Yeah, I mean, if that had been in a court of law, first of all, he would have been allowed to answer the question and
Yes, I
explain
know.
his answer.
I know.
That was more of a soliloquy on the part of whoever that woman was. But quite frankly, my understanding of Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony was that she was testifying as to statements that she heard the president make or actions that she heard the president
And other
make.
people said about what the president said. There was that
Right.
hearsay upon hearsay.
Right. So anything that he said is not hearsay. That is the statement of a party opponent. So that is not inadmissible.
Yeah. But I thought that was great. I thought about Shondell when I listened to that and picked it for that.
That's interesting.
Ron Hart is with me right now. And Ron, it was a big week. For you, what was bigger, the Davos, all the stuff that came out of that, or this Jack Smith hearing?
Well, the arrogance of Jack Smith not answering questions like that. He knows the answer. He's up there pretending to do the same thing for a Democrat that he did for a Republican, and we know that's not true, given his history. And the guy from New Jersey had a good line. He goes, well, I've dismissed a case against a Republican because you didn't have enough evidence. You charge them, ruin their lives, make them lawyer up. That's $500,000. The process is the punishment sometime. And if you decide to go after somebody who's, is kind of innocent, you can't prove it, but you do ruin their life for a couple of years.
Well, it was interesting because about 12 or 15 days after Kevin McCarthy became speaker, he got subpoenaed by Jack Smith for a bunch of records, and they used some kind of document that made it to where he couldn't speak about what was going on, and they said in the document that he was a flight risk. The Speaker of the House was a flight risk. And so Kevin McCarthy answered that this morning, and he said, from the moment I was sworn in as Speaker, I had 24/7 security, and my location had to be known at all times because at that time he was number 3 in that. So
that's a non-disclosure order, and it has more than just flight risk. It has tampering.
Right.
It has other issues associated with it as to why it's not revealed to the person whose records are being subpoenaed.
Right. But the flight risk thing I thought was interesting because it related to the Speaker of the House. But Ron, what were your thoughts about the hearing yesterday?
Well, he looks like a weasel. It looks like a DC weasel with an agenda. They hide behind these words like, "As I sit here, I don't remember." Of course, you remember. It's like, "As I sit here." It's just. There's a great line I think Reagan did during the Iran-Contra affair. He used this line. At this present time, I don't think I remember, or something like this. It's the line they have you say when you don't want to answer something you probably know. They're hitting a nerve, and you don't need to answer it, and that's what they say. That way they don't do perjury.
So what are you writing about this week?
I wrote about just things moving at the speed of Trump. I went to Mar-a-Lago last night. Actually, Heather and I went to dinner there last night.
Oh, was that the dinner he was very late for?
He come to Mar-a-Lago? We left about 9:30. He wasn't there by then.
Yeah.
So he may have gotten in late last night. I went there and it's interesting to see what he's doing right now. He's moving so fast, and you have to do it because your first term before you lose. He'll likely lose the House. I mean, that's just history, right? There's a thin margin in the House, and there's enough probably money against him and momentum against him probably to lose the House. So he's got to do what he's going to do right now, and hope he gets some stuff done. But he's doing the Greenland thing's good. No money, we control it if he's right, and if the framework is what he says it is, that's good. Clearly, Davos, you have a bunch of arrogant Europeans that are kind of globalists that he goes there and says we're going to be American first. The NATO chief seems to get him, right? He seems to compliment him. Maybe he's just a suck up, but he does seem to get him. Some other people are flexing a little bit. Gavin Newsom being there was kind of a joke. Even the mainstream media kind of laughed at that. I think that set Glavin back, diminished him a little bit. All in all, I think Davos was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'd love to go sometime. Have you ever been?
No, not been to Davos. No,
it would be expensive. So you went to Mar-a-Lago last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that your first time there?
No, it's not.
So how do you get invited to Mar-a-Lago?
Well, you have to have a member invite you. There's 500 members. He bought that thing for $9 million from the state of Florida. It was donated by Meriwether Post cereal, heiress had it, and it kind of fell in disrepair like a lot of mansions do. I think he bought an 85 for $9 million, put money into it, opened the club in 90. He bought an 85, opened the club in 95, and it's a beautiful 20-acre piece of property. That the judge, by the way, in the Letitia James case, said it was worth $20 million, which is, the acres on the beach down here are going for like $45 million per acre, and he's got 20 acres there. So it's one of the most ridiculous valuations you've ever seen. Plus, he's got a lot of revenue going through there. The guy I was with said it's worth at least $1 billion because of the membership revenue and the way it's structured. So it's beautiful. It's great, and the food was great. I've been to his place, Turnberry, in Scotland. He just runs a good operation. Trump runs a good operation.
Well, it was funny.
And that's what he's trying to do with the government.
He got a little late out of Davos, and he was doing a press conference on the way back, and he said in the press conference, "I'm very late for a dinner. I don't know if I'm going to get there on time." So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, it's his anniversary with the Melania, and with the people we were with, their daughter works in the White House, and she had indicated that he was going back to D.C.
Yeah.
Because of Melania was there. Melania doesn't love the Mar-a-Lago thing. So what happens is their bedroom's in one corner, kind of off, imagine a porch or whatever, outdoor sitting area, patio, and his bedroom's right off to the side of that. And then there's 70 to 200 people eating dinner just about every night right outside your door. He likes it because he relishes in it, and he goes out there. And security is tough. I mean, you get the two forms of security to get in there. They go underneath your car with these machines, and that that makes you believe that the documents case against him raiding that place, those documents are in a very secure location. That Jack Smith went after, tying that back to Jack Smith. Versus, Joe Biden had his in his garage next to his Corvette. There's no way in the world there was any danger of those documents, if indeed they were classified, if indeed there was an issue. We're in danger that they had to raid Mar-a-Lago with 30, armed AR-15 people with CNN there. That what Jack Smith did. That's just ridiculous. It defies common sense that they had to do that.
Absolutely. So what do you think? Have you decided what you're writing about next week?
Well, probably just the first year. I know it's a little bit past his first year, but I'm going to look back on some things he's done. He brought peace. He's got hostages out. I think the next thing
that was a big thing. That was a big thing, getting the hostages out.
Yeah, and if it works, he's going to try to get Belichick away from his girlfriend. He can get more from
he said that was having the 20 hostages at the White House was the greatest night of his presidency. Because it was probably the most impactful thing he was able to get done in his entire presidency.
Yeah, I don't think the Doge is important, and this Somali thing, this notion that you can just steal money and have a systemic, the Democrat Party, the modern Democrat Party is like Somali.
Don't you think it's interesting that in these protests in Minneapolis that nobody's protesting that their kids don't have a child care to go to anymore? Because they've shut down all these child care places, but it doesn't seem that there were any kids going there, so nobody's been disrupted.
Yeah, it's more about hating Trump. I think America, I haven't seen the polling numbers, but for the most part, as long as we do worse first, at some point we got to draw a line and say, look, you're here, you've been law-abiding, you worked hard, your boss writes you a letter, your landlord writes you a letter, you got family here, let's give them some form of temporary status and work them in. But this is a great way to tell who's been good, who's been bad. Felons first. Gang members, of course. He's doing the right thing. I mean, and at some point we got to take a deep breath because these people do a lot of work. If they want to assimilate and be here, pay a fine, let's let them do it. But we can't. It's theoretically impossible to get them all out of here. That's not going to work.
It's true. Ron Hart. You can go to ronaldhart.com and see his columns, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
What's your sign? This is Phil Benelli on the next edition of North Georgia Business Radio X. We're talking with Joe Nation from Gainesville Signs and Graphics. Find out how he's improving our city landscape and what he can do for your business Saturday at 3 on WDUN.
This February, join us for Better Together, a free chapel series about relationships, marriage, and family. Starting on February 1st with Pastor Jensen Franklin and concluding on February 8th with a message from special guest Charlotte Gamble. You won't want to miss this exciting 2-week series that's fun for the whole family as we learn how to be better together through Christ. For more information, visit freechapel.org.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawlspace giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawlspace repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
They say it's hard to find things that are built to last. That may be true for some things, but not for metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal. Metal roofing can last up to 50 years. Now that's quite an improvement from traditional asphalt shingles. But more than durable, metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal is also fire and impact resistant. Plus you get all the quality and durability for about the same cost as a shingled roof. Talk to Justin Odom at Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099 or log on to dawsonvillemetal.com.
As believers, our faith journey involves both a vertical and horizontal relationship. This is Mike Martin with a thought from God's Word concerning relationships. Vertically, we have a relationship with God. Horizontally, we have relationships with others. Our family, friends, and work associates are people with whom we have vital relationships. The way we look at them, talk to them, talk about them, treat them is an indication of how we stand in our relationship with God and should exemplify our walk with Him. Proverbs 6:16 through 19 gives instructions to carefully consider how the Lord would have each of us represent Him in every relationship in our lives. My prayer is, Father, help me to love others as you've loved me. Help me be kind, gentle, display self-control in Jesus' name. Holy Spirit, you promised if I would trust you with my whole heart, lean not on my own understanding, but acknowledge you in all that I do, you would direct my path. In Jesus' name.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Governor Brian Kemp issues an official state of emergency for Georgia as Winter Storm Fern approaches the region this weekend. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I've never been as high on Gavin Newsom as you have. We've had this conversation on camera and off camera. Yeah. I think he's made a fool of himself this week. I don't understand. I don't know who's advising him. I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to do that. I'm a Democrat. I disagree with the idea that we were going to take over Greenland. I always predicted we would end up with some half-baked deal when the market tanked, which is exactly what happened. But for him to go there and undermine the president of the United States and on foreign soil and say that international leaders should stand up to the United States, you don't do that. And going and standing there and making hay out of being uninvited and saying it's Trump, it makes you look small and petty. And it just, I thought he made a fool of himself this week.
Yeah.
I don't think that
Should he have not gone at all? Yeah.
So that's Melissa DeRosa, who's a Democratic strategist, and that's that two-way show with Mark Halperin. And they have, the Democrats don't just criticize Democrats, but in this case, she was saying she thought he misplayed. Gavin Newsom misplayed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's an issue. I think if he wants to go and have a forum for criticizing the President of the United States, talk about somebody who came in there with sort of an attitude that, we don't have to do anything. We're actually withdrawing from NATO was sort of the theme. And then we're taking over Greenland and we may do it by force. And then he backs off all of that after some very critical speeches by European leaders. So for Gavin Newsom to go there and suggest that what the Europeans are saying is actually logical and sane, I don't think there's that big a deal about it. And yeah, everybody wants to go to Switzerland. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I do
don't know
think
that he made a fool of himself.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see, because right now anything Gavin Newsom does is really not for voters. It's for donors. Okay, let's be real here. You can't run a presidential campaign unless you can raise $1 billion at least. And right now, people like you and I are thinking about 2028, but the average person is not thinking about 2028. They're barely thinking about 2026. Okay, so right now, everything he's doing is to make sure that he can secure donors strategically. Anyway, that's what he's doing.
Maybe. I think that would be true with any politician who's planning on running for president at this point.
Absolutely.
I think he probably has a lot of money coming out of California. That's where there's a lot of Democratic money in New York.
60% of John Ossoff's money came out of California, which I think is interesting.
Well, that's because that's where the money is.
You know what I hate about all of this, and I wrote a column about it in, the two worst years in American history were 1913 and 1966. And 1913 because we started direct election of senators. Prior to that, they were appointed by the state legislature. And so they actually were beholden to the state they came from. And there was actually no money involved in electing senators at that point in time because you didn't have to run a campaign. And so then they started having to raise money to run these statewide campaigns. And you can actually draw a straight line from that decision to the kind of crazy money. The crazy money didn't come into the presidency until after the crazy money started coming into the Senate races. So you can look at all that money history. And then 1966, because while there were never lock boxes with your name on them in Medicare and Social Security, the money was kept separately until 1966. And then LBJ did his guns and butter thing, and he mixed the Medicare and Social Security money with the general fund, and then they never looked back after that. And if you think about 1966, the first year of baby boomers were turning 21. So you had huge amounts of money coming in and hardly anybody drawing out. And so people thought, this is going to last forever. And now, we're 50 years down the road and we need the money.
Right.
Yeah, and it's been spent.
Well, I do think that the change in politics can be directly traced to the Citizens United decision, and when they decided that corporations were people too, and they could donate unlimited sums
maybe the
of money
recent
to,
tone change. Maybe the recent
you've got
tone
people
change.
like Elon Musk. Coming in and doing sort of a Svengali on American politics, and everyone's beholden to him. And he donates $200 million to Trump, and basically changed the dynamic.
Well, he didn't donate $200 million to Trump.
270, wasn't it? 270 million?
No, he started a PAC, which is from the Citizens United kind of thing. Didn't go to Trump. So be clear, it's not Trump. He did it on behalf of Trump, but the money did not go to the Trump campaign. So that line is still there. Okay?
Well, it didn't go to the Trump campaign, but it benefited the Trump campaign. He raised that money in a PAC that was directly associated with the campaign, and I understand there are rules that try to keep...
It wasn't associated with the campaign. It has to be separate.
When I say associated, I'm not suggesting there's a legal connection.
Okay.
I'm suggesting that it was associated in that he supported Trump, and his whole purpose in doing that was to elect Trump.
Which is the right of any individual. It was actually personal money in this case, so Citizens United had nothing to do with it because his name was on the money. You knew where the money came from. It wasn't hidden.
It wasn't secret money? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the Citizens United allowed people to not have to reveal their names, to create these organizations and give the money and not reveal their names. We knew Elon Musk was given this money.
Right, but you still have these PACs that are just super funding everything.
That's right. Let's go to the phones and talk to Roy in Houston. Let's go. Hey, Roy.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
The saying goes, a clown with a flamethrower has a flamethrower. And whether we laugh at Trump, and I had to wait a couple of days because my feelings about Trump, and that's why I waited. I'm thinking, okay, how was this? And it was, to me, embarrassing. It was, but he's got a flamethrower. He's dangerous. He's the most powerful man in the world. You go into Europe, you disparage Europe. What that strategist was talking about, the American politics, he was talking about American politics on foreign land. He's talking about stupid people and talking about Ilhan Omar, which most of them probably don't even know who she is. Again, it was something that everyone should just condemn. That's just not the way you operate. And everyone says, well, that's the way he operates. They got to get used to it. And you have to state that this guy is embarrassing in front of crowds. How can you go?
And that's your opinion.
Go ahead.
And there is,
it is.
But he was elected. this is what he's doing. If you want to change it, then you need to elect new people.
I'm gonna work hard for myself. That's for sure. But we worked with our allies in World War II. I mean, we were a very powerful country. But you'd be speaking German and some Japanese. Come on, you don't say that to people.
I tell you what,
people here.
The bloviating I can deal with, but what I was extremely angry with him about was what he said about them not making any sacrifices, NATO not making any sacrifices when there were, for every 2 Americans that died in the global war on terror, 1 member of a NATO country died. And so there was a sacrifice that was made. And that's the kinds of things that he gets wrong, that, the bloviating, I don't care, but those kinds of things that he gets wrong, saying John McCain was a coward, that kind of thing, those are the things that aggravate me.
Yeah, the Rob Reiner thing really sent me into the stratosphere. I just thought that was the cruelest statement ever to make to someone who has 2 living children.
Yeah, and honestly, we know he can do it the right way, because when he was questioned on a tarmac about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he was gracious, he was kind, we know he can do it. So he should have just not said anything.
Yeah, he's off the rails these days with whatever he says, and I guess that's the lame duck presidency. He feels like he can say whatever. And I think, his going over there and saying things and kind of posturing for this Greenland takeover and going in with the idea that had everyone panicking about whether he was going to use military force and thereby provoking this NATO split.
What he accomplished was in the best interest of the United States. We just had the GDP come out for last quarter at 5.4%. With the GDP for the quarter before, the markets have turned around. Yeah, I don't like the volatility either. I don't disagree with you about that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is what he accomplished there was positive for the United States.
Well, I think he starts from such a pedestal in terms of his negotiating that it's absurd taking over Greenland by military force. But then he settles on the sovereign military base theory.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of
he asked for more than he
sounds
wants.
Reasonable.
He asked for more than he wants, then he gets what he wants. We'll be back.
It's bad enough you get wet when your roof leaks, so don't get soaked when it comes to getting it repaired. This is Chris Earls at Georgia Select Roofing, where we have outstanding Google reviews and an A+ BBB rating, because we know roofing and customer service. If it's a new roof, a roof repair, or gutters and downspouts, estimates are free and we offer financing. See us online at georgiaselectroofing.com or call me at 678-316-6899. At Georgia Select Roofing, we have you covered.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
It starts tonight in New Mexico and Texas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A massive storm full of snow and sleet coating a lot of the south and ice.
We're going to have significant icing across the Carolinas, looking at potentials of anywhere from a quarter inch to an inch.
So Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy tells Fox his crews will be busy.
That's going to create widespread outages, followed by some very cold weather for multiple days.
This storm will hit all the way to New England. Some areas could get a foot of snow or more, and not only will driving be difficult.
Airlines and travelers are bracing for what forecasters expect to be
major cancellations, major disruptions, major delays for air travel this weekend.
Fox Business Network's Lydia Hu at Newark, New Jersey's airport, where there are just 7 flights canceled today, but nationwide it's 430.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, we see more than 1,400 flights canceled already.
Thousands are gathering in Washington, D.C., where in an hour they'll be on the move, demonstrating against abortion in the annual March for Life. Vice President Vance will be there the day after a trip to Minneapolis, calling for calm and cooperation in the immigration enforcement raids. Now, there's a big anti-ICE demonstration planned today across Minnesota, angry over those raids and recent immigration-related shootings. Meanwhile, 3 people have been arrested in Sunday's protest inside a St. Paul church.
But Fox News has learned that a federal magistrate judge shot down multiple arrest warrants that the Justice Department tried to get for other individuals who were also involved in that protest, including former CNN anchor Don Lemon. Sources confirmed to Fox the magistrate judge who blocked the warrants is named Douglas Miko, and his wife works as an assistant attorney general in Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's office. A source close to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells Fox the AG is enraged at the magistrate judge's decision.
That's Fox's Garrett Tenney in Minneapolis. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. And as Winter Storm Fern is expected to hit the Northeast Georgia region this weekend, Gainesville's Mayor Zach Thompson shared the city staff will begin brining roads today to prepare for possible ice on the roadways.
I can't stress enough how important it is to prepare now for the dangerous conditions and possible power outages.
Thompson says that public safety is the city's top priority. Forecasts for this weekend predict low temps, high winds, and in between a half to a full inch of ice in the region. Gwinnett County investigators are at the scene of a reported homicide from early this morning. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
A release from the GCPD says they were called to the scene of a homicide case along the 1000 block of Brook Ivy Court in Lawrenceville just after 2:30 a.m. after receiving reports of shots fired inside a residence. Upon arrival, officers located 4 deceased adults inside the home, all suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. 3 children were also located inside the residence, hiding in a closet unharmed. An unidentified suspect was located a short distance from the crime scene and taken into custody without incident, but no further details have been released.
A now former Habersham County detention officer is facing charges related to the sexual assault against a person in custody. According to Habersham County Sheriff's Office, 20-year-old Edwin Mendoza turned himself in at the detention center Thursday. GBI is charging Mendoza with 1 count each of sexual assault against a person in custody and violation of oath of office. Mendoza was hired January 27th of last year and was terminated on Thursday. GBI handling the ongoing investigation. A man has been arrested accused of stealing electronic tablets from a Gainesville store. 48-year-old James Vernon Miller was arrested Wednesday after Gainesville police had reportedly found him in possession of Samsung tablets that had been stolen from a business on Atlas Circle. B.J. Williams with the Hall County Sheriff's Office said they had been investigating the stolen tablets for weeks.
Several tablets had been stolen from company fleet vehicles that had been parked at the business between December 20th of last year and January 5th of this year.
Miller faces charges of theft by receiving stolen property and entering a vehicle to commit a theft. You'll find more news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN Friday forecast.
Good Friday morning, North Georgia. Overcast skies and a small chance of a rain shower. Low 50s for highs today. Quite a bit of cloud cover tonight. Upper 30s by early Saturday. And Saturday, winter storm watch is kicking in. All eyes on Fern. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Hiawassee, 41 degrees. In Swanee, 47. And in Gainesville, 45. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9. WDUN.
Should you make your trust the beneficiary of your IRA? So many say you shouldn't, but we say you should. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney. And if you want your IRA to be protected for your surviving spouse, children, or family, then you should leave it to them at your death through a trust. For more information, go to my website, KevinTharp.com.
Did you know that one of Georgia's 9 regional food banks is located right here in Hall County? The Georgia Mountain Food Bank collects and warehouses donated food and distributes it to more than 65 feeding partners and meal serve sites across our 5-county service area of Hall, Dawson, Lumpkin, Union, and Forsyth counties. Learn more about our mission and how you can make sure that people in our community have the food they need to thrive. Visit gmfb.org.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and Shondell Summers here with me in the studio, and we're going to be talking to Representative Brent Cox, who represents sort of to the east of us, right, Brent? That you've got part of Hall County, you've got Dawson. Tell me the area that you're in.
Yeah, actually, I live on the Forsyth-Dawson line, but I represent so northeast Forsyth, so west of y'all. So and then over Lake Lanier to McKever Road, Browns Bridge, part of Sardis Road. So that part of the areas where I represent.
So tell us how the budget week's gone, because this is like the week of budget committee meetings and people coming. Does it look like a conservative budget where people aren't asking for big increases? Are there areas where there's going to be big increases? What have you seen so far?
Well, it's always an eventful week, that's for sure. So you have the different agencies and different commissioners and all that coming in and bringing their ask. Of course, we got the budget after the State of the State address. I'd like to say Governor Kemp's State of the State address, we're going to miss him as a governor. I really appreciate all that he had done and has done. He's just been an excellent leader for the state of Georgia. And I know that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they've appreciated a lot that he's done as well. So he's done an excellent job. So we got the budget over last weekend, was reviewing it. I think one of the concerns, at least here in Forsyth and Hall, gets into the world of DFACs and foster care and these kids. That's a line item because you hear a lot of data and a lot of information, but as it relates specifically to 10 to 12,000 children and some of the struggles that we've got to find solutions.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a difficult subject to talk about, because that I can't understand why we can't get this right. I understand that foster care in theory is better than being in a home with a family, is better than being supposedly in a group home. But the problem with our foster care system, for multiple reasons, is that the average child spends time in 11 homes in the course of their growing up. We've done a better job of doing some wraparound services from 18 to 24, so they're not just pushed out into the cold. But how do you learn to love or have good relationships if you've been abandoned by your parents and then you're in 11 different homes in the course of your lifetime? I almost think it would be better for us to go back to children's homes with good staff where they can have some continuity.
Right. It's this just becomes, who are we as people and as neighbors and as parents and grandparents and friends. Coaching some kids that went through the foster care program and high school sports, I've had that experience, and then seeing some of the kids, that don't even have those avenues, nor any of the support at home, like you said, bouncing around. We're better than this as people, and I really want to lean on our nonprofits here too, because this isn't just a state issue. It's our places of faith. It's the nonprofits. It's our Rotaries. Everybody needs to be diving in to solve the issue locally within our communities. We have really good juvenile judges, specifically where we all are and we live. And between CASA, we have the Baldridge Lodge over here in Cumming, and they do a fantastic job. But there's all these groups but somehow we got to unify this and build some teams that can just take care of these kids and make sure we know the quantity of kids that we're dealing with, and we just need to solve it. I mean, let's be human here.
So did you, do you think they have a plan for that? Because it seems like they've just been playing crisis catch-up.
Right. It seems very reactive at the point, and I think this week, to me, personally, it brought light on a situation more so than we had seen in the past. I obviously know that there's issues, but it brought light on it, and I did not hear solutions yet. But I know today there were subcommittee meetings, and Chair Katie Dempsey from over in Rome, I think it will be her.
She's
her
great.
Meetings going
She's
on.
great.
Literally, she's fantastic. So we're going to find some solutions because this is just unacceptable.
So from your constituency, what are the things, I like to talk about things in threes, but what are the big things that you're working on this year?
So we obviously have some local legislation in Hall and Forsyth County. So those are things that our county commissions ask or people. Obviously, things related to Lake Lanier is always something that's near and dear to my heart. I know Senator Eccles and Representative Dubnik, I know they're working on some stuff too with Lake Lanier. So those things are always important. I've got a couple of bills, House Bill 675, which is any literature and stuff that's being put out from terrorist organizations that we create in the state of Georgia. A crime for that is a felony, and that it gives our DAs in the state of Georgia the authority to be able to prosecute, similar to what's done at a federal level. So we're working on that. I had that last year. Hopefully in the next week or so in our Judiciary Committee, we'll be hearing that and get it to the chamber floor. That's one. We also, as I co-chair Georgia Israel, as you know, we have another bill forthcoming. We're recognizing Judea and Samaria versus the terminology of West Bank in the state of Georgia. And then I have another one on banning Sharia law in the state of Georgia. So these are some hot topics, but important topics with what we've seen in the world of education. I've got a deal that helps our teachers, and it allows them to take sick days they didn't use and use them as personal days versus basically telling somebody I'm sick of being at work and using a personal day anyway. So something that will help the teachers and, allow them to be, like how my business has been ran, and all of us have those opportunities. If you need a personal day, you shouldn't be penalized for being healthy, So
well, I got to tell you, why is it that, if you get personal days and sick days, it seems like it ought to just be in a pot and you use them however you want to, as long as you don't go over the number of days you're taking off. I mean, that
sounds like common sense, right, Martha?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like common sense. And, I know teachers, we're working very hard on the State Board of Education on their teacher retention program. We're also working on the literacy program and implementing that because, we got a real wake-up call in Georgia when we saw Mississippi change the way they were doing education, and they've gone from being 49th to, I think, 8th in literacy in the course of this governor's tenure that they have in Mississippi. And, I always used to say, thank God for Mississippi, because they were always like one behind us in everything. Mm-hmm. And so we've got to work hard on that, too. And education, of course, is 55% of the budget when you talk about, the entire budget between K through 12 and university system. So it's a huge amount of money, and we need to pay more attention to it. I know we're going to have a contested superintendent's race, and I'm glad about that, because I think we this is not any slam against Richard Woods, but people are better when they have competition. They're better when they have competition.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right, Martha, on all of that. The other thing statewide, I mean, you mentioned several things. So we have some key initiatives, and I'm on the education committee. So literacy is a primary focus this year. last year we were doing a lot with school safety, obviously, after Appalachia. But literacy, we got to get that right. It doesn't need to be just reading. It needs to be coding. It needs to be mathematics is a form of literacy as well, because it truly
it's
is
another
a language.
Math is another language. I think also we need to look at, we're getting ready to, the cell phone bans have gone into place for K through 8. We need to expand that to high school, but also the new studies that are out.
That's been dropped, Martha. We're doing that.
Okay. Well, the new studies though that are out about that all these technology devices that we're using with kids in school actually are not helping them. I'm not saying we should do away with them, but there is nothing that replaces a really good teacher in the classroom, and that kids, need to know certain things about screens, but it shouldn't be the thing you lean on.
Right. Well, when I said drop, that means we're dropping the bill to expand it to 12th grade.
Oh, good.
That's
good,
being done.
Good. Yeah.
So I didn't mean drop that.
Oh, I thought you meant dropped it out already. Okay, good.
That's what I thought. No, we're absolutely, I was a big proponent to get that done myself last year, but you try to move the needle, and we did, and the results have been great. So we're moving to 12th because you've got to be able to talk to one another, look each other in the eyes, and frankly, it's good to pick up a pen or pencil and actually write.
Absolutely.
These are property tax, another big one. Obviously, we're going to focus on property tax relief. There's different ways that we can do this, and we've just got to bring some support and help to all of our neighbors in our communities, and whether it's through utilities or it's our property tax, there's just things that we've got to be able to dial those dollars down, because right now it's just too much.
Absolutely. Brent Cox, we'll talk to you a lot during the session. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you, Martha.
We'll take a break.
When you need news anytime, day or night, get it from the source that's been delivering local news digitally for a quarter of a century. Go with AccessWDUN.com and the Access WDUN app, powered by North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
It's WDUN's Bill Main inviting you to join me September 28th as we journey to sunny Portugal with Colette and Peach State Bank and Trust. We'll explore Europe's old world charm, spending multiple nights in charming Porto and the amazing Algarve coast. We'll walk the cobblestone streets and cruise the scenic Douro River, from the colorful capital of Lisbon to the stunning cliffs and whitewashed villages of the Algarve. We'll visit the breathtaking shoreline of the Portuguese Riviera and see ancient castles, groves of orange and almond trees, plus we'll visit the quaint villages of Lagos, Sintra, and Cascais. Then there's the famous wine, savory foods, and beautiful beaches. Plus we'll visit a family-owned cork factory. Yeah! Colette covers all the details, flights, meals, hotels, all of that. We just need to have a good time. So don't miss out. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit WDUN.com for full details.
Let me show you the world. Come away with me. For 33 days, that's right. 33 days, 333 people will win. $333 in cash 3.
Get ready for some instant wins, Georgia, because for 33 days, 333 people will instantly win $333 playing Cash 3. That's at least 10 instant winners a day.
So pick your numbers now. It doesn't matter how. Numbers are everywhere. There's enough to share, so pick and play Cash 3.
Play Cash 3 now through February 6th for your chance to instantly win $333. Only from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Did you know that a ton of people win playing the Georgia Lottery every day? They do. Cash 4 has almost 1,500 winners every day. Cash 3 has almost 5,000. And Fantasy 5 has nearly 24,000 winners. With billions paid out last year, this is your sign to play.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing, and check out the Players Club at galottery.com.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved.
Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, Winter Storm Fern has now prompted the National Weather Service to issue an ice storm warning in northeast Georgia for this weekend. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I thought there would be few. I did not think there would be that many on the committee that would have done. I thought there might have been a couple, but I think, look, the fact that Hakeem Jeffries so actively worked against this and was apparently calling people on the committee saying, don't do this, don't do this. We talk about Mike Johnson looking weak at times. We talk Hakeem Jeffries, that is not a good look for you, that you could not stop a committee vote of overwhelming numbers like that. And it does speak to the fact that the Clintons are not what they once were, and this younger generation just looks at them and thinks, so what?
So that's Dan Turrentine, who is a Democratic strategist, talking about the Clinton contempt vote because they did not show up for their hearings about the Epstein stuff. And
why are they supposed to be showing up for that?
Well, they were subpoenaed to show up because they were named in
But
some
so
of
were
the things.
thousands of other people.
Well, they're subpoenaing a bunch of people. They were just, some of the people that were subpoenaed.
But they haven't subpoenaed Trump.
I don't know if you can subpoena the president of the United States.
I don't know.
But they probably will. But but you don't have to compare everything to Trump.
Well,
We're
it's just that
talking
they're
about,
targeting the Clintons.
I don't think they're targeting. They denied a subpoena.
It's so smoke and mirrors these days.
But all the
they want
Democrats
to deflect attention on Trump for not.
The point he was making is in this committee, all the Republicans and all the Democrats voted to hold them in contempt. It was a unanimous decision to hold them in contempt for not listening to the subpoena. So this was not a partisan issue.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that if they think that it was contempt of court to not show up for the subpoena.
Contempt of Congress. Yeah.
Contempt of Congress. And there have been other people who have been held in contempt of Congress, and they've gotten away with it. There have been others that have gone to jail for it. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they had anything to provide that isn't already public record.
Oh, Bill Clinton has a lot of questions to answer. I mean,
if you don't like him and you just want to target him.
No, I think he was a very good president.
Try to put him as the face on the Epstein situation. That's what they were trying to do. Now, the Epstein situation is something where Trump is polling very poorly. People do not like the way he's been handling that. The New York Times just did a poll on all of Trump's issues, and that was the worst he did, was on the handling of the Epstein file.
But how many people does that matter to?
I don't care. Quite frankly, I'm a Democrat. I don't care whether Jeffrey Epstein had all his friends over and had a big party and had a bunch of youngish women there. If someone violated the law, let's prosecute them. But just the idea that we're going to go round up a bunch of people and say, yeah, you knew him, therefore you're somehow a bad person, that goes against my grain.
Yeah, I don't prosecute people. I don't disagree with you about that. That's why I kind of, I didn't like the fact that grand jury testimony got released, because I think that from a larger perspective of trials and things like that, that one of the things about a grand jury is you have some sort of promise of secrecy. And my biggest concern was what the president's concern was, and people in the administration, is that there are people named in these testimonies that really were not directly involved. I mean, they might have worked for Epstein, or they might have done, but they weren't involved in the parties and any of this kind of stuff. And then their name's going to be out there, and people are going to, do what they do these days. Don't get the whole story and then go after someone.
Correct. And, we live in such an obscene society as far as that is concerned. I mean, I think I've watched 15 minutes of Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's text messages this week, as though they have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
But because it's Taylor Swift, we're going to delve into it and try to analyze it. And the same thing with the Epstein file. Every communication, every email is being scrutinized. There have been some that are interesting, and it definitely suggests that there was a connection between Trump and Epstein, probably a social connection. Probably they hung out together in Palm Beach back in the day. But whether or not Trump participated in some illegal activity or not, I don't think they've proven that.
No, they haven't proven that.
Nothing
And he actually cooperated with the Palm Beach police in the conviction that Epstein got back in, I think, 2009 or 2008 or something like that. He helped with that.
Do I think he's an aggressive, boorish, potentially abusive individual who may have forced himself on Jean Carroll? Yes. And he was found responsible for that and has a civil judgment. But the Epstein thing to me doesn't hold water.
Yeah. I just think it's so amazing how you bring everything back to Trump. Okay, so
well, why can't I? Because Trump brings everything back to his enemies.
Yeah, but again, you're not Donald Trump.
No,
you're
I'm
better
not
than Donald Trump.
Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate that compliment.
There's this attitude among people who don't support Trump that he did it so I can do it. To me, I guess it's just like my parenting thing. It screams in my head.
I would never try to get away with what Trump does.
Or he said it so I can say it.
If I said half of the vitriolic things that he says, I would be finished.
Again, to be fair, and I do believe that Donald Trump has not had fair press coverage for most of the time he's been in the public eye for the last 10 years. Prior to that, everybody loved him.
He makes his own press coverage. He has a social, what's the name of it? Truth Social, that he's constantly promoting himself on, and that's where most of the material that the press reports on comes from. So he makes his own press.
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying is that nobody, I don't think, in the world, and let's see, we'll know after this, whoever the next president is, nobody is safe in the kind of scrutiny that people are getting these days. And to your point, people caring about stuff that has nothing to do with them. And that's that podcast I sent you about Greg Hurwitz. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it or not, but where he's talking about you got to get away from this stuff. And that if you do, hear something on social media about something that happened halfway around the world, don't worry about that. If it's homelessness in Timbuktu, think about how you can help in your own community about homelessness. Do you know what I mean? You can't do anything about Timbuktu, but you can make your own community better. I think that's a good message. Anyway, we will be back.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawl space giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawl space repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
The new year means new resolutions, not just for your body, but for your finances as well. Did you know that financial health is directly related to your identity protection? This is why you need LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your subscription money back. Resolve to make your identity, health, and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Visit LifeLock.com and save up to 40% off your first year with a promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Bill Main, and Friday on Mornings on Main Street, Judy had a great one for the joke off.
Do you know what happened to the cat who ate a ball of yarn?
A ball of yarn?
Ooh, no.
It had mittens.
That's a good one.
We'll be back Monday morning with the latest on weather, closures, and travel conditions. So start your Monday with Mornings on Main Street here on North Georgia's News Talk.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. Snow and plenty of it from the massive blast from Old Man Winter near our governor, Kathy Hochul.
12 to 18 inches of snow possible across Long Island, New York City, Hudson Valley, Capital Region, Southern Tier, Mohawk Valley, and Central New York.
Another major concern.
We're going to have significant icing across the Carolinas, looking at potentials of anywhere from a quarter inch to an inch.
Duke Energy spokesperson Jeff Brooks earlier on Fox's America's Newsroom. National Weather Service Director Ken Graham on Fox and Friends this morning.
Listen to local officials. If schools are closed, stay home, stay put.
State of emergency affected in several states. Fox News is told by federal sources that Ryan Wedding, a former Olympian FBI fugitive, now in custody, FBI Director Kash Patel will deliver an update this morning. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and Governor Brian Kemp is declaring a state of emergency as Georgia awaits the effects of a major winter ice storm. GNN's Liz Kennedy reports.
The governor said Thursday that morning crews will begin treating roads north of I-20 early Saturday. He also warned residents to prepare for power outages and to stock up on food, gas, batteries, and water. He also advised people to stay off the roads beginning late Saturday through Sunday. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service says freezing rain is expected to begin Saturday afternoon.
Meanwhile, locally, as Northeast Georgia braces for Winter Storm Fern, Gainesville Mayor Zach Thompson shared what city staff is doing to prepare.
Our city teams will be brining roads today and will continue as long as these conditions allow.
In other news, Gwinnett County Police say that they're at the scene of a reported homicide from early this morning. More, here's WDUN's Logan Landers.
A release from the GCPD says they were called to the scene of a homicide case along the 1000 block of Brook Ivy Court in Lawrenceville just after 2:30 a.m. after receiving reports of shots fired inside a residence. Upon arrival, officers located 4 deceased adults inside the home, all suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. 3 children were also located inside the residence, hiding in a closet unharmed.
Suspect is in custody. No names have been released as of last report. More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
Overcast skies and a small chance of a rain shower. Low 50s for highs today. Quite a bit of cloud cover tonight. Upper 30s by early Saturday. And Saturday, winter storm watch is kicking in. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Claremont, 44 degrees. In Swanee, 46. And in Gainesville, 45. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, this is Cal Cooley with Electronic Sales Company, and joining me today is Charlie Bramwell, Director of Interactive Neighborhood for Kids, better known as INC around here. When we help move your burglar alarm, fire alarm, cameras, and all the other things, I had no idea how impressive and big INC has become. Where's your new location?
We moved to Oakwood, the center of Oakwood.
Got anything special coming up?
Yes, sir. We have several new exhibits coming in within the next month or two. The Department of Transportation is putting in some roads for us. We're talking to the FAA about bringing some monitors in so kids can actually see real-life flights. We have an extremely nice train exhibit. And yesterday, we was donated a train console from an actual train. We're going to refurbish it and put it next to the train exhibit so kids can actually be the train conductor and move levers and valves.
I am so excited. Everybody, you need to go down there to INC in Oakwood.
Your community partner in protection, Electronic Sales Company. See them today online at electronicsalesco.com.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Okay.
Very good guy.
Who would you trust most to babysit your kids?
Kelly Loeffler.
Which cabinet secretary would totally get rolled by your kids?
maybe also Kelly Loeffler. She's got a good heart. She would take very good care of them, but
I feel like Linda would be giving out all the candy.
So it's the Martha Zoller Show. I thought that was fun. I mean, we're going into a weekend, and Kelly answered, it was a little tweet about it. And so the vice president announced this week that they're expecting their fourth child, and it's going to be born in July. I'm fully expecting the president to try to get it be born on the 4th of July.
Oh, there you go.
Let's do the end of July. But it's nice news. I mean, it's the first time ever that a vice president has had family has had a baby in office, and the first time since the Kennedy administration that there were small children in the office.
Interesting.
So it's kind of nice, I think, don't you?
Yes, I think it's nice news for them. I don't know that it endears me to him anymore, other than I like his wife, actually. She seems like a really solid.
Well, she was a great lawyer. I understand she was a
fabulous
Supreme
lawyer,
Court clerk.
Great credentials, interesting history. I wish she had more influence over him.
She may. You don't know.
That's true. And maybe this is their grand scheme to make him sound like he does publicly, and his lack of empathy for anyone other than his coterie of conspirators up in the White House. But and I'm disappointed because I watched the movie Hillbilly Elegies. I thought that was an interesting story. I remember when he was criticizing Trump, and I agreed with what he said. And then, of course, he did an about face, which to me is just raw ambition. You don't change your political philosophy that much. You just silence yourself, or you just pander to other people whose philosophy can get you somewhere.
Well, I mean, but can't you be wrong about somebody and learn, that maybe what you said wasn't right? I mean, I was thinking about, so he was like 30 years old when Trump came on the scene, because he just turned 40. And he was working with Eric Erickson on Red State. And they actually came up with the Never Trumper logo, the hashtag Never Trumper, or Never Trump, I think is what it was. And it's interesting to see how he's been motivated. My big issue with him, I don't dislike him. I love him on the Sunday shows. I love that he will go anywhere and he will take any question, and he is very good at it.
Yes, he is very good at it. Yeah. Very effective.
Yeah, he's kind of like Vivek Ramaswamy on that. He's very good at that
kind
of thing.
He's better than Vivek to me, because he has the logic and the articulation to say it well and say it in a clear and concise manner.
Yes, I love that about him. I just think that he's only 40 years old, and not that means he's too young to do it. I kind of am really liking Marco Rubio, because he is very thoughtful and very. He also will do any of the Sunday news shows and does a great job at it too. So I think that's good too.
Well, I like Marco Rubio. I don't have a problem with him. I think what's going to happen, though, potentially, is that the continuing disillusionment of the public with Trump and his plummeting ratings in the public, by the time we get through the midterms, then, he very well could take a shellacking in the House. The House could be turned over to the Democrats, which would probably then, and I think the people who stick with him may be penalized for that in the future. I think there could be a reckoning in the presidential election for all Republicans who have, pledged this loyalty to Trump, if the public becomes as disillusioned with him as it appears the trajectory is trending.
Okay, let's look at this. Where the approval rating is. The Real Clear Politics average of the approval rating is 43%. There's no American president in the last 20 years that's been over 50%. I think Obama was briefly over 50%. It's just, I think in the age of social media, it's really going to be hard for anybody to crack more than 50% approval rating. Like I said, Obama went to like 51 and 52 for a brief period of time, but he hovered in the high 40s, not the low 40s.
Well, I know you don't read the New York Times.
No,
but the
I'm
New
looking
York
at all the polls here.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Real Clear Politics
Yeah.
average of polls. But the New York Times poll is of today, since the killing of Renee Good. There has been a plummeting in his support. Republicans still kind of hang with him. There's still that solid
It says here
38%.
It says here the New York Times poll, because they list every poll and then the average. The New York Times poll has him at 40.
40,
okay?
correct. Which
Wall
is
Street
higher than
Journal has it
Biden. I'll give
40
you that.
Yeah, 45 for the Wall Street Journal. CNN has him at 40. Quinnipiac has him at 44. Rasmussen at 47. And RMG Research at 47. I don't know who they are. But it's low 40s.
But
okay,
if you
it's
look
low
at
40s.
issue by issue,
he has lost a lot on the immigration issue among liberals and some conservatives. That is absolutely true.
every Republican I talk to these days immediately focuses on the aggressive tactics of ICE, the fact that we don't need to be rounding up people who are just here to work and to help make our society more affordable and also better functioning. And they just don't say that publicly, but they certainly say it to me for some reason. Maybe they think I'm a friendly audience. But you've got that issue. You've got the affordability thing. They can tell us all day long that the economy's great, and people don't necessarily feel that.
No, they don't. I'll agree with you that they don't feel it right now. I have talked to a number of folks who are filing their taxes, because I mentioned this last week where people like us don't file our taxes as soon as we get our W-2s. I don't have W-2s.
I don't have a
all
W-2
1099s. But for people, I always file April 15th. For years, I filed October 15th, but now I file April 15th. But people who are W-2 workers, usually the minute they get that W-2, they file. So I've talked to several people since I had that first conversation, because I'm like that. What's that? Is it Progressive that does the thing about the people striking up conversations with strangers? I don't know. You act like your parents or whatever.
Right. I love that
parent. I'm that parent. I strike up conversations with strangers all the time, you know? And so I've talked to a few other people that have had that same experience. Wow, I got more back than I thought I was going to get back because I got all the taxes I paid on tips last year back. So I don't know how much that's going to change, but I agree with you 100% that he's got, according to Frank Luntz, he's got about 6 more months to make people start feeling this, and not him making it, but for them to start feeling it, because there are lots of good things in the economy. Gas prices are down, which affect the cost of everything. And everybody has to pay gas prices, and it impacts lower income people better, meaning they get more of a relief than we do. So I agree that that's the big issue, the affordability issue. Every Republican I know is talking about it publicly and behind the scenes. I mean, that's all they were talking about this week in the budget hearings under the Gold Dome was affordability. So I think it's an issue. And look, it's going to be it will be a miracle if he doesn't lose the House and the Senate, because usually midterms, whether it's George Bush was the last one, and it was right after 9/11 that didn't lose ground in the midterms. So, but I think there's some opportunities there. And it was interesting. I was talking to Senator Ossoff last week, and I was giving him a little bit of a hard time for 2 things. One, his fundraising letters are totally not like him. They've got a lot of profanity in them. They've got, and he just doesn't talk like that.
Can I just segue into, what is going on with the profanity?
Yes.
I mean, from everybody from Trump all the way down, everybody is using the F word as though it's no big deal.
Yes, I agree 100%.
What is up with that?
It's not, because it's supposed to show that you're cool. I don't know. It's not cool to me. So I don't like that. And I've called him on it. I've said, I know that you have to fundraise. Okay, I get that. But, this doesn't sound like you. And no one's going to remember your fundraiser's name. Everybody's going to remember your name. Okay, so that was just the one thing. The second thing is he has nobody in his primary. He's raised $43 million, and he has $23 million on hand. He spent $20 million in this cycle already with no opposition.
Well, but that's probably for pre-buys on TV, don't you think?
Some is pre-buys, some is, he said research. I said, well, research costs you that much money? I think you need to shop around. The problem is, in order to get the help from the DSCC, which is what he's going to need, he probably has to use their vendors. And I'm not saying it's corrupt, but they are not the best buy. And NRCC's the same, that they have their preferred group of vendors that they want you to use.
And the prices are jacked up.
And their prices are jacked up.
Yeah.
And they all get rich because they get
and they're
a
not so
percentage.
effective. I mean, the Democrats' campaign strategy never, or at least in the last election cycle, was nowhere near the efficiency and the effectiveness of the Republican strategy on just the pure, this going door-to-door thing is completely out of style. Nobody wants to go
Well, and then going back, tying up to Rahm Emanuel, is that he's actually trying to pull the Democratic Party away from being on the 20% side of issues, like men and women's sports and the other things that people, law enforcement, things like that. And crime was way down last year, like the lowest rate of murder in a long time while they've been keeping records. But he's trying to get them to issues that Democrats have traditionally been good on, education and things like that, and that they could get 80% support. They're not going to listen to him, I don't think, because I think they're afraid of him being Jewish. I hate to say it, but I think they are in a Democratic primary. But I think if they listen to him, I don't want them to listen to them. I'm a Republican, but if they listen to him, they would do better.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that's not the case because some of the best politicians out there for the Democrats are Jewish. Josh Shapiro, Rahm Emanuel, John Ossoff. So, yeah, they're smart people, just FYI.
We'll take a break.
On Friday's edition of The Drive at 5, we'll continue to monitor Winter Storm Fern as it approaches northeast Georgia. Join us at 5 o'clock here on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Mike Cormier, General Manager at Hardy Chevrolet. Some folks think that the automobile business is just about selling cars. At Hardy, we know it's more than just that. For us, it's about helping that young driver with their first car and helping that growing family that needs a bigger car. It's about relationships. It's about family. Drop by for a visit and you'll understand what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at georgiaselectroofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
It's getting cooler, and that means those outdoor pests want to be indoor residents. While a tube of caulk goes a long way to keep them out, Select Pest Control can make sure they don't leave alive. Select can put down a residual barrier that keeps the pest out. And if you want to do it yourself, they'll put the right product into your hands and make sure you know how to use it. Find out more at selectpest.net, or better yet, visit the Select store at 1786 Browns Bridge Road and tell them Todd Stern sent you.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted, it works, it's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, 4 people are dead and a suspect in custody from a fatal shooting scene at a Lawrenceville home early this morning. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hey, let's go now. Let's go. Hey, we know what to do now. Let's go. Hey, one play at a time. Play for the man next to you. Unload the clip. Let's come out of here with a win. Let's go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win.
So that is Matt Stafford. He was just nominated for MVP. It is his 17th year in the NFL. And he's a Georgia grad. You know, he did graduate. I checked that. He went back to school. And you know what? I didn't think much of him when he was playing because he seemed just kind of like a mouth breather quarterback. But you know what? He's a quarterback savant. He's found his niche, and he's been successful, and he's a good family man.
Who does he play for?
He plays for the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay, so they just beat the Bears.
Yeah.
I watched that game.
The Bears.
Bears.
I knew that I watched the game. I just couldn't remember which team he was
Yeah,
on.
and they were in the snow and all that stuff.
That was crazy,
and
wasn't it?
It was crazy. It was really crazy. And so they'll have the playoff game this weekend, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They've got the Seattle Seahawks. And it's going to be in Seattle as well, so it's going to be some cold weather up there.
Yeah.
But hopefully Matt can get it done. He's had a great season, and we'll see if he can cap it off with an MVP trophy.
Yeah, that would be so great. I mean, I love it when – I mean, I know 37's not old, but it's old for football. I love it when you see the old guys do well because he was the first-round draft pick when he first went into the NFL. And he played for the Detroit Lions for what, 12 years?
12,
like
13 years, and I mean they were not good teams.
And then they released him, and he got picked up by the Rams, and he won his first Super Bowl with the Rams, and he's had this renaissance, you know, and he's really helped Stetson Bennett too, because Stetson Bennett's on the Rams. He's a backup quarterback on the Rams, but he had a little rehab problem where he had to go into rehab, and he helped stick by that.
Yeah, I guess I don't keep up with the Georgia.
Yes.
Players after they leave Georgia. But it seems to me that maybe the funding of the team might have something to do with it. LA has a lot of money. They put a lot of money into their sports teams. Is that why they're so good?
Yeah, I mean, they typically always, don't matter what, sport it is, they're always going to throw money at players, and they're always going to try to get the best ones. And with Stafford, it worked out well. They picked him up as well as a bunch of other guys, helping him where they're at now. And they're just they're one game away from getting to a Super Bowl.
And he's such a nice guy. He and his wife go around at Christmas time to families of fallen officers. And if they have kids in the house, he plays Xbox with them. He shows up at the door, and the kids are like, Matt's dad, I mean, it's like, and
that's sweet.
I know. And he hangs out with them for an afternoon, which is great. And he's got 4 little girls, and they have this routine that they come to the sideline when they're warming up. They're all dressed alike with little signs, "We love you, Daddy." It's very cute. And, They go, he goes running, gets advice from them about the game. That's what they say. It's really cute. And he's married to his girlfriend from college. So I always say, stick with the girl that was with you before you had money, and life will be good.
Interesting.
Well,
in my case, I'm not sure that would have worked out so well.
That's right.
No names, but.
Yeah. Okay. No names. That's good. Also, Fernando Mendoza went on The Tonight Show, and this is what The Tonight Show should be like. And I love it that Jimmy Fallon he's doing a mix. He's still doing some politics, but he's doing a mix, and he's getting back to what The Tonight Show was so great about, which was human interest kind of things. And here's Fernando Mendoza and Jimmy Fallon.
Fernando, what are you doing here? Jimmy, everybody knows that The Tonight Show's where champions go, so here I am. That's right! Come on! That's right you are! Since you're here, I have to ask, how does it feel to win Indiana's first ever football championship? Well, we finally got our coach Ignited to smile. So that was the biggest accomplishment. No, but for real, Indiana's been predominantly a basketball, and football's been in purgatory for the longest time. And our team, with Coach Signetti and a whole bunch of under-recruited guys who have already been doubted their entire lives, now finally marked as national champions. It means the world to all of us.
So they go on and do this thing where breaking records. Okay, so what Jimmy Fallon, and Tonight Show's so good at these funny games that they do. So Jimmy Fallon's throwing records, LPs, and he's hitting them with footballs and how many he can hit in 30 seconds.
Cute.
And I think he hit 8 or 10 or something in 30 seconds. It was crazy and smashed the record.
Right.
Yeah, which is cool.
It's like skeet shooting. You throw the disc up in the air and you shoot them down. But yeah, I mean that's great, and you can see a little bit of personality for Fernando. He seems kind of quiet natured from what I've seen, very kind of reserved. But it's nice to see him kind of step out a little bit and go into the limelight.
Well, after he won the Heisman, he took a bunch of foster kids to shop at the Nike store in Times Square in New York, because that trophy award ceremony's in New York City. And so that's what he did after. His mom's had MS and has been sick for a long time. And, he just seems like a great kid. I mean, and, he's funny. They asked him about having a girlfriend, and he said, I don't have time for girls, because if I have a girlfriend, I'm going to be all in, and then I won't be watching football film. And my job right now is getting to the NFL. I don't think he'll have any trouble with that, right?
I don't think he'll have any issues with that, but hey, he did great in college for Indiana, obviously. He's going to have a statue built.
Like the Bad News Bears.
They have the worst record in college football, I believe, history for D1. I mean, that's how you can't get worse than that. And the fact they're able to do such a quick turnaround. I mean, last year they improved, but this year, obviously, you go 16-0, you win a national championship, Heisman winner.
No 5-star recruits.
No, it's all a lot of guys who, like he said in the monologue there, were either, very low rated or just kind of they picked them up.
And the Big Ten, they've won 3 national championships in a row, so now they think they're better than the SEC. And, they were this year.
The statistics bear that out.
This year, that's right.
But I'm sure the SEC will be back.
They'll be back next year. Don't worry.
I think Ole Miss has a good chance next year.
I would have loved to have seen Ole Miss play Indiana.
Wouldn't that have been great?
Because it was such a close game between Ole Miss and Miami. And, it was just razor-thin margin. So it would have been good to see them play Indiana. Different styles.
And those 2 big plays, the 4th and 5, that was a play they specially learned for that game. The quarterback sneak, the way they did it. Of course, the implementation just depends on the moment.
You're talking about the one that's been photographed so
that
much
he flew
across.
Where he gets hit. Then the interception play was a special play just for that game, where they had 2 people isolate the receiver so that one person could watch the receiver and the other person could watch for the ball. Right. And it just worked out for him. I mean, you practice these plays a million times, and they may not go your way a million times, but you hope they do at the right time.
Those were just such exciting games. I mean, I don't think I've ever enjoyed college football as much as this season because of all the closeness of all the games.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And that was, I'm a Georgia fan, but I think that was the best championship game I've ever seen.
Was the Georgia-Ole Miss game?
Yeah, no, the one that they played on Monday night. That was the best championship game
that was a good game
I've ever seen. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. I'm off next week. Thomas.